right, let's be honest. Wearing pants sucks. Why should we be stuck in stiff jeans crushing our family jewels? Well, those days are over thanks to Public Rec. They got the deal maker pants, and let me tell you, these feel like sweatpants but look like jeans. You get that 5-pocket style, but all the comfort that you need to go from work to play, no problem. These pants are made with their Workday 2.0 fabric. Wind and water resistant, so they're built to handle whatever you got going on. Clean, classic, and comfortable. These are gonna be your new everyday pants. I've been switching between the deal maker and the day maker pants, and I pair them with the go-to tee, and trust me when I tell you, it's the perfect fit. Plus, Public Rec will let you pick your exact size, waist, and length. None of that small, medium, large nonsense. And with 10 color options, you can find your perfect look. Stop suffering in regular pants. Right now, you get 20% off with code Chael at checkout. That's 20% at publicrec.com. Make sure you use code Chael at checkout. Or, to make it easier, just click below. What are we calling Sharia, guys? Is it Sharia bullet? Sharia bullet?
Shara bullet.
Shara bullet. I'm not ready to let this go. I'm not ready to let this go. This was such a... And everything's so clear in hindsight, isn't it? Monday morning quarterbacking is very hard. The difference over here is we talked about this a week ago. We said this is a nightmare of a matchup. I told you, go to my partner's DraftKings and take their money. They got Bullet as a favorite. And if you're looking at it on paper, Bullet has never lost. MVP lost his last fight. Like, generally, those numbers jump out. MVP is closer to 40. Sharia Bullet is closer to 30. Right? It's one of these things. Those numbers jump off a page. But they were the wrong numbers. And Bullet has it. For sure. Bullet is a star. That's strong language. But he has what you need to be a star. He just needs to get in front of you guys some more time. We can all agree you could put him in a Hollywood movie right now. We can all agree that when something on social media pops up with him, we go watch it. We can all agree if you go to YouTube and you watch the pieces the UFC put out when it's a piece with him, the numbers are higher, right? He's interesting. But how good of a fighter is he? That's a fair question. And we have seen critiques where you would think that his wrestling should be better. And one thing about him with his strikes, and this was very evident over the weekend, there are some guys, Chris Lieben was one, there are some guys whose heads are so hard and their ability to take a punch is so good. George Foreman was one. I mean, Chris Lieben's setup so that you were close enough that he could hit you was to let you hit him. Chris Lieben would not slip and move. He would stand here so that you would step into range to hit him. And Chris believed if you can hit me, now I got you, right? And it was always true. You play that game. You get the first punch. You might even get the first few. And then Chris is going to hit you and the fight is going to be over. It's one of these things, but Bullet fights that same way. His wrestling appears to be questionable, and he's very hittable because he'll let you hit him. Now, when you deal with somebody like MVP, there's one big thing, and it's the whole thing that changed this night. If there's one word that changes the night, it's speed, which is something that can't be taught. And it's something a coach can't screw up. He can't screw a guy up on this. It's one of these things, right? And so if you're looking at it, I'm telling you, go to DraftKings. Go beat these guys. I'm telling you to do this. There is a question, and it's what the odds makers banked on, that MVP's speed, because of age, would come down. But we have no evidence of that. That was my big problem with MVP being the underdog in this fight. Even if he lost his last fight, which I thought was a draw, but even if he lost his last fight, he wasn't slowing down. And it's very relevant that you understand that. Because if you go into the main event, okay, that was also the story. That punch that hit Adesanya I don't believe 2 years ago lands. I don't believe that 2 years ago Adesanya is standing there to be punched. I also don't believe 2 years ago that the chin and the jaw of Adesanya would not have been able to take that punch. But there are certain games, guys, that are very risky games. Roy Jones comes to mind. Chuck Liddell comes to mind. Most recent example, Cody Garbrandt comes to mind. And Cody's is because he's stubborn. Oh my God, Cody is so stubborn. He will not listen to anybody. Don't let me digress there. I'll go yell for 10 minutes about Garbrandt, won't listen to anybody. But when you play that game, like Garbrandt, like Chuck, like Roy Jones, you can become a star faster than the guy fighting like Khabib or St. Pierre. You can beat half the men and become a star twice as fast if you're knocking those men out. But it's one of those games where the expression live by the sword, die by the sword. It will come. It's a risky way to fight. And if that speed ever goes, even, and we're talking about fractions, guys, Adesanya was the fastest in that division. He still might be. But he's not as fast as he was. Can we agree on that? And it's one of these things. I mean, I watch Adesanya's fight. I leave there. I saw who got their hand raised. I'm not convinced that I know who the better fighter is. It's a very unthing for me to say. I mean, but Imanov is in a very weird spot. There's very few times in history where you can win and people get mad at you. People are mad at Imanov right now. Jake Paul just had a fight like this with Mike Tyson. And the fight's over, and then people are mad at Jake Paul for doing successfully what we all knew they were going out there to do. Like, it's a very rare time where this happens. Well, that's happening to Imanov. It's happening to MVP. Right? It really is. Where people are upset about it. And MVP did one thing. And if you watched all the festivities over the weekend and you missed this one thing, you missed the best thing. MVP versus Kevin Holland was not the world's most pleasing match. That's true. MVP versus Ian Gary was not the world's most pleasing match. There was more grappling and we didn't know, and Ian Gary got to some position we hadn't seen before. But either way, this statement is true. And Ian Gary versus Bullet, I apologize, MVP versus Bullet was not the most pleasing match. Those are true statements. But I don't want you to miss the most important thing. MVP, from the day he got to the UFC, MVP had the attitude like a 23 or 24-year-old kid has. They're just getting signed. Just came to the Contender Series. Just won tough. Where they're happy to be there. And they're going to go along to get along. Even though MVP was a chiseled veteran, it's different. It's different. And MVP has gone along to get along. He's been perfectly nice. He has never told us an idea. So if we say we didn't think the Holland fight was the world's most fun, fine. It wasn't his idea. If we say that the Ian Gary fight wasn't the most fun, fine. It wasn't his idea. If we say Sharia Bullet, it wasn't his idea. He finally has an idea. It's the most important part of MVT's story over the weekend. He has finally called for a fight that he says would be good. That it would be interesting. He called out Leon Edwards. That is not an easy night. I don't know that anybody has ever called out Leon Edwards, besides Colby. And Colby called out because he was world champion. I've never seen anybody try to fight Leon. That in and of itself, for me, is very interesting. And if you want to say that MVP style wasn't, and then fill in the blank, something negative, right? We're picking on MVP. Okay, fine. But he never said they would be. It wasn't his idea. Someone else called. He appeased the call. For the first time, he is making the call. And Leon's got his hands full. He's busy coming up with Jack. But Leon versus MVP, win or lose against Jack, Leon versus MVP, I like it.